Welcome back to Digital Wandering. And today I wanted to bring to you something special. And this is a video devoted to the early Intel MacBooks. And I'm referring to the MacBooks from 2006 and 2010. I won't be talking about any of the desktops, early Intel that were made during that time period, or the MacBook Pros. I'm concentrating on this video on the consumer MacBook devices, not the Pro machines or desktops. And I have three MacBooks from that time period. And I've shown all these on previous episodes of Digital Wandering. So we have the 2007 MacBook here up top, which was my first. And I actually got this brand new at that time, late 2007. And then we have others here that I all got used many years later. But we have a 2008 black MacBook here in the middle and a 2010, which is in a case. So this is a case. It's a white MacBook, as you can see here from the ports. And this is a 2010. And this is the last of that series. And I got that just because I wanted to get the last of that white MacBooks. And these are great to have in the collection because it does represent a transition period for Apple and the computers they were making. And they're going through another transition right now where they're going to their own M1 chips, or M series chips. So we're in another transition. So it's good to look back at the last transition that Apple made. And this is where I entered the game of using Apple computers. This is my first Apple computer right here, the 2007. Still works. It's not 100%, and I have done upgrades on this, but it still works as far as its basic functions. Just a couple of things like the trackpad isn't 100% functional, and the DVD or CD or super drive, I think they refer to it here, isn't 100% functional. It works, but not 100%. But these are great Macs to get because I think they are recent enough where you can still do some work with them. Where some of the older Macs are kind of challenged if you're trying to do 2021 stuff on them. So these still hold up pretty well. They're not all equal. And I think you have some decisions to make if you're going to decide to get one of these. Now, if you're just getting them for collecting, any of them that is of interest to you are worth collecting. If you can find one at a price that works for you, any of them. You may be more attracted to the 2006 models, the first that came out, if you are just basically looking to collect significant releases. So that may be the one that be most attractive to you. The 2010, which was the last in the series, you may be interested in that also for collection purposes. So any of them could be worth depending on your own interest on as far as collecting. But if you're thinking about using these in 2021, they all could be used on certain levels, but I would always say go for something later in that time frame, like the late 2009s or this 2010, if you're going to be using them today. Mainly because the earlier models, like the 2006s, they max out on macOS Snow Leopard. Now, Snow Leopard is still functional. On my 2007, although it supports 10.7, I could get this on 10.7. I still have it on Snow Leopard, but it is fairly old, and there isn't really much in the way of third-party support. There's a few browsers that do support Snow Leopard, but I'm only using the one that I think is still at least technically supported, Arctic Fox. I have that on this machine that's running Snow Leopard. So you do still have some browser support, One of the problems also with those 2006s is that they're going to be the lowest specs models in the series. And that's just a general thing. If you're looking at a whole series of devices that released over a period of time, normally the ones that were released later, this is a general rule of thumb, it normally applies, not in all cases, but normally the ones that are released late in the series are going to be more powerful and have more capabilities. So the 2006s are going to have the lowest capabilities and are going to be the lowest spec models as far as when they were like the default models that were sold without any add-ons. They're going to be the lowest spec. And when you're going and getting these machines on, say, a reseller site like eBay, if you get one that hasn't been upgraded in any way, it's going to be really challenging to use it because it's not the specs. It's going to have maybe the intro amount of RAM, which is probably like 512 megabytes back then on the 2006s. My 2007, when I got this, it had 1 gigabyte of RAM, and that's what I rocked with this for many years. I just upgraded it. I think 2018, I finally upgraded it to where it has now 4 gigabytes of RAM. Also, the 2006, they're going to max out on 2 gigabytes of RAM, which isn't a lot for 2021. So the later, if you're trying to use these, the later you go in the time frame, the better. I have this on 4 gigabytes of RAM, as I just mentioned. There's one in the middle. I think I can get this on 6, but it's currently on 4 gigabytes of RAM. This is my 2008 black MacBook, which is on 10.7 Lion. Getting a machine that's capable of getting on 10.7 Lion does have some advantages because there are some browsers, small browsers that are being supported by a few developers that you can get on 10.7 that's not available for 10.6, like the Chromium Legacy that I showed in a recent video. But if you can get, if you're looking to use these, you get the 2009 or 2010 MacBooks. Those are really the best in class because you can get them as far as macOS High Sierra, which is 10.13. High Sierra was just dropped by Apple support in late 2020. So it's only been about a little more than 6 months since support has dropped from Apple. So you still have pretty much full third-party support on High Sierra if you take those machines to their max operating system. And so you can still have the latest version of Chrome, the latest version of Firefox. You can also have all the other browsers and other third-party applications will still support High Sierra. Also, these late machines, you can put, I have 16 gigabytes of RAM. As you see, these other two, I have 4. I have actually 16 gigabytes, 4 times as much of RAM. So they have a much higher RAM ceiling, better processing power. So they'll do better on 2021 tasks, especially basic tasks. They all will do basic tasks pretty well, but this could do basic tasks using modern software. So where you don't have the option, these have been dropped. These are maxed out. They can max out at 10.7, and 10.7 has been supported by anything since probably about 2016, 2017. So it's been a long time. You get one of the later models, you can put that on High Sierra, and you can still have good third-party software support. Another thing that you have great about this is that you can see right now the ports. These are the excellent thing about these old computers because you have dedicated ports for USB, and so you don't have to use a dongle like I use on my modern Mac. So you can plug things directly in, and it seems to me that it's more reliable on the dedicated ports. Also, although this one, it doesn't work 100%, on the other side here, you have that super drive for DVDs, CDs. So you also have the option of physical media, DVDs and CDs if you use them. I still have a large collection of DVDs And although this one, I can play DVDs here, but it doesn't work that well. Woo! The one at the bottom here, the 2010, had the DVD player or the super drive plays DVDs just fine. So I use that as much as I can, as much as possible. So you do have the option of dedicated media and dedicated ports, and it is upgradable. So you can get into these machines for what it's worth. It's fairly easy to get into them through the battery bay by using a coin or whatever to open up. And it's very easy to upgrade the RAM, especially on this 2007, to upgrade the RAM or to replace the hard drive. Really easy. Much easier than the later models because they have like a bottom plate that you have to unscrew. And you might need a proprietary screwdriver to do that. So one problem with, even though these are serviceable, sometimes they require proprietary, well, actually all the time. It's not even sometimes. All the time they're going to require some type of proprietary screwdriver to do the most intensive repairs or to get really deep into the machine. The later models, just to get in the machine at all, you're going to need a proprietary screwdriver. And that is going to add some complexity, so you have to buy more things. So if you get one of these machines and it's lowly spec'd and you want to make some improvements, that's going to cost additional money than the price that you paid to get the machine. And you might have to get some special tools to do it as well. So it gets a little bit complex for a simple end user. Now, a lot of the YouTubers that you see are professional computer repair people. So they have these things in their workshop. So it's not really putting them out anything extra. And they're going to use these tools multiple times. As a simple end user, you may only have to you might only need to use that tool one time. So it could be an expense that you may not want to make. Especially since these machines, as of right now, you could probably get them fairly cheaply. Although there are some that are very much overpriced. So that is a concern when you're buying these machines. Some of them are overpriced. Some with reason, because you may be getting them brand new in box with all the original accessories and things like that. That may be something that you are willing to pay a little extra for. But a lot of times it's just the old 10-year-old machine that has been refurbished a bit that people are charging hundreds of dollars for, and I don't know if they're worth it. Even the later models, we can still run modern software, still have some issues. Doing basic things like going online, even streaming video on like YouTube, doing documents. All of these models, no matter what year we're talking about, from 2006 on down, could do that. All of them can do that still. But if you're doing really intensive things on like things that run in the background, they can be a little challenging. And I'll give you an example. In the 2010, this is the most powerful here. And I've spec'd it up as much as I could. It runs like a dream when I'm doing just about basic everyday tasks. That is the majority of things that I do with my computers. But if I'm doing something running in the background, like if I'm converting a large video file. So sometimes I have video files that, like on my on one of my external hard drives, that are huge, but I had plenty of space on the hard drive, so I didn't really care about them being big. But now I don't have as much space anymore, so I'm trying to shrink and convert the files to a format that's smaller, that won't take up as much disk space. And I have some files that are gigabytes and many gigabytes in size. I tried to convert some of those video files on this 2010, and it was taking, some of the individual files by themselves was taking 8 hours to try to convert. When I took that same file to my modern machine, or more recent machine from 2018, it was taking an hour or less, those individual files. So a lot of things that take up a lot of computing power and maybe work in the background on these older machines, they won't handle them very well. It's going to take a huge amount of time, a ridiculous amount of time, something that's not really practical to do, where on a more recent machine, it'll work just fine. But if you're just, the basic things, doing documents, going online, web surfing, a lot of the daily tasks that are extremely important and take up probably the vast majority of my use case scenarios, you can do them on these machines just fine, and they'll be great. And then you have these other things that they have. And if you can get them at an attractive price, I think that's the main thing. I would probably only want to get these for well under $100 at best. And there's a lot of really good Apple resellers that will refurbish these machines, sometimes upgrade them as well, and still have them at a very attractive price. Like this 2010 that I got many years ago works just fine and look practically brand new, although it's a refurbished model. And I'm really happy with it. I got it in 2018 and it still runs just perfectly right now. And all the upgrades that I did really helped. A lot of times you're going to get these, they're going to have probably the mechanical hard drives because that was kind of the default at the time. So you can take out those mechanical hard drives, which I've done on 2 of these. I think the 2008 still has its original hard drive, but the other ones have solid state drives in them. And you can definitely do that and upgrade the RAM. It does increase the expense, so that's also one reason why you want to get these as cheap as possible, because if you're going to do upgrades, you don't want it. You can actually spend more on the upgrades than on the original computer, and that's just one of the things about collecting these old computers. If you do choose to upgrade them, it can get expensive. But I do really like these computers. I don't know if I'm going to get any more of these MacBooks from this time frame. I think I'm pretty much done with the ones that I have. There is one other MacBook that came in this time frame that isn't plastic. It's the 2008 aluminum Unibody. You can see that on YouTube. It kind of looks like the 2011 MacBook Pro that I have here. This is the 2011 MacBook Pro. It looks just like this, except it's not a MacBook Pro. It's a MacBook, and it came out in 2008. One advantage that it has over the other 2008 devices, like this 2008 black MacBook down here, that maxes out on 10.7, macOS 10.7 Lion. That 2008 aluminum unibody that, again, looks like this 2011 MacBook Pro, that maxes out on macOS 10.11, which is, I believe, El Capitan. And El Capitan, you can still use the latest version of Chrome and Firefox. And I'm pretty sure there are other third-party applications that will work on 10.11. So one advantage of getting that 2008 aluminum MacBook is that it was able to upgrade to a much later version of macOS that is still supported by a lot of applications today. All right, so that's just what I wanted to talk about here. I love these machines, these early Intel MacBooks, and if you are interested in getting one, I think they are interesting to add to your collection and are still fun to use in 2021. But thank you for watching. This is Digital Wandering signing off.